board meeting. This meeting is being recorded. I'd like to have the pledge of allegiance in this time.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Harry.
Here.
John Foster.
Here.
Jim Stearns.
Here.
John Ellis.
Here. Here. At this time, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing regarding the fire district's name change. Public hearing is open for any comments.
This hearing was advertised as required, published in the Red River Press. The hearing is to listen to public comment on the fire district name change. We are hoping to change the name from Red River Rural Fire Protection District to Jackson County Fire District 1 because we feel like that more accurately represents who we are.
Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and close the public meeting since there's no comments, and we'll move on to the minutes. Safety Committee minutes. On these, before we go to vote for approval on that, in the minutes, I noticed that there was a comment made by Craig that he felt he being bullied by the fire chief. Craig, can you, by next meeting between now and then, submit in writing what has occurred so we can address it?
I will attempt to, yes. Okay. There may be some records requests that are associated with that, so I don't have complete control of that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on with that, the Safety Committee meeting notes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the safety committee as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
No.
Board of Directors, regular session meeting minutes.
Motion to approve those minutes as presented here in the packet.
We have a motion
Seconded.
and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Finance report.
I've got a couple questions. Let me get here.
While you're doing that, Jim, can I make some comments?
What's that?
While you're doing it, can I make
Yeah,
some
sure,
comments?
absolutely.
So we got our bill for the election. The bill was $9,885. I knew it was going to be expensive. I undershot that by a little bit. The mass mailing was $2,500, so the election cost us $12,385. We budgeted $10,000. I'm not complaining. We got close to it, and it was worth every penny that was spent on it.
Does that include the excess on the copier? Do we use a copier here?
I don't know. What did we use the copier for?
Did you use the copier to make copies?
No, we hired
No,
a
hired somebody.
print company to make the brochures that were sent out.
Did the union use the copier?
No, they're not allowed to do that for an election. We're not allowed to use any fire district equipment. We had a couple of major repairs. One was on the breathing air compressor. We had to replace a sensor. It cost the total repair cost $2,100. Didn't anticipate it, but we've owned that thing for about 15 years, and I think this is the first time I've ever repaired it. So I'm happy with that. We also had a incident with our first out ambulance where the rear wheels, lug nuts, came loose and caused some wallering out of the holes. So we had to replace 2 rear rims, and we had to replace some other parts. So not sure exactly why it happened, other than their aftermarket wheels. And we put those same wheels on the new ambulance. So really our focus is on preventing it from happening again. So what we did was we inserted some checks on the ambulance that weren't currently there for, rear wheel lug tightness. And we also changed the lug nuts.
We get a torque wrench out in the floor.
They're gonna check them weekly just for tightness, but our mechanic is gonna check them, the torque values,
Yeah,
on every oil change.
didn't hurt any of the studs or anything else in the
Yeah.
axle when they
Yeah, we had to replace all the stuff.
studs, yeah. Okay.
Had
If I-
had the tires recently been rotated?
No,
So it would, kind of makes you think that when we did the replacement wheels, maybe didn't get the right lug nuts for seating into those wheels or something.
it's possible. I can only speculate. I
They're-
don't know why it happened.
They're an alloy wheel, not a steel wheel.
They're aluminum.
Yeah.
Aluminum, yeah.
And the lucky part is it happened right here, so we limped it back to the station and was able to repair it. You know, we need to make sure it's not gonna happen again in Medford with the patient.
Is aluminum indicated for a heavy vehicle like that?
Yeah,
Depends on the wheel. I mean, you can put aluminum wheels on semis and you're okay, but you got to have the right wheel to do it.
we checked the weight rating on the wheels and we were well below it. One other item I was gonna mention, a few comments, but I'll mention it right now. We got reimbursed for the Auto Springs fire. And that was $8,958.
Could we back up one item of the compressor, the breathing compressor? Is that slated for replacement at some time? You said it's up in its lifespan time.
I have a 5-year capital plan for you and we didn't put that in there. I don't see us replacing it in the next 5 years.
It's
You know, we
okay.
paid $35,000 for it
Mm.
several years back. So I think you could probably double that now.
Yeah,
So
I didn't realize it was that big of a.
repairing it for a while.
That's a 6,000 PSI.
Yes.
Okay. It'll fill all your current bottles. I mean, you know.
We had to upgrade it. That's not true. We had to upgrade the fill station when we got new SCP. But the compressor was already a 6,000. Yes.
They used to have a Cascade trailer, don't have that any longer. So do we have I haven't even paid attention, we have a Cascade system back there, storage bottle
We have 4 bottles on the compressor.
on the fill station.
Thank you, Mike.
I do. Looking at page 8. Which is the visa statement breakdown. I see a third item down, the Home Depot for fridge and dryer for 2306. Those seem like they'd be capital purchases to me, but they got a lifespan. But anyhow, what I was trying to get to, I couldn't find that 2306 in our financial statement, or I look at page 19 of the monthly financial report.
It was just paid in December, the Visa bill. So it's right here in our checks.
So if
Yeah.
it's paid in December, it won't be in here until January. Okay.
Yeah. And that was from a donation.
I'm sorry, it was.
The refrigerator and dryer.
Yeah.
Was purchased from a donation. District.
That was part of a $10,000 donation we got
Oh,
2 months
okay,
ago.
cool.
And then also we identified capital as 5,000.
Oh, all right.
I would like to reduce that. That would make budgeting easier
Yeah.
for us, but for now,
I understand.
that's what it said.
Thank you. Then down about the middle of the page, I see a successful union bargaining. So,
That was me. They put on a class in Medford, or it was Oregon.
I get it, I get it. That's good. Thank you.
Any other budget questions?
I have one here, and this is probably to Jenna. In the software, like looking at, I'm gonna look at a revenue side, but my main concern is usually on expenditures. But when our final column goes to 0.0%, is there any way to make that number reflect the percent that it's gone past zero? In other words, you look at like we've overspent something, and once we've spent budgeted, it just goes to zero. And I'd like an alarm to go off that says, well, we're 30% to the bad.
Yeah, we
Is there
brought
any
that
way to
up.
make the software play nice? I know, I think I've asked before, it just goes to zero and that's it. Okay, well, we'll just be diligent. When we see a 0%, we'll read back across. And
Randy, I would tell you, if you look in the column to the left under remaining,
Mhm.
if you see a number in parentheses, that should
That's
attract your attention.
that's a number that's gone below, okay, or above or below. Okay, thank you.
Parentheses below.
Yeah.
I was looking back at some checks. I noticed a purchase for a shirt, not a lot of money, but it was trying to figure it out. As it said, it's in September, and it was $34 a shirt for a board member.
That was for me.
Yep.
Mhm. That's the shirt I am currently wearing.
We buy individual shirt members, individual board member shirts, or
The shirt that when we all received shirts a while back ago
Okay.
was excessively large for me,
okay.
so it didn't fit.
All right, there we go. Okay. I'm making sure that it's
So I
not special.
requested a shirt that fit properly.
Gotcha.
Chief or Jenna, could you explain the amount of money that we got a letter on saying that it was incorrectly coded that it didn't reflect it in our
So from
financial?
the email I sent?
Yes.
Yes. When I was transferring money for payroll, I accidentally clicked purchase instead of redeem. And so it reflected that on the bank account, but since it was at the very end of the month, when the fix happened, it doesn't show up until December.
Okay,
unfortunately.
so it's been corrected and it will show up in our next financial. Thank you.
And that's in our treasurer's report. But located.
You're gonna see that on the local government investment pool page.
Any other questions on the financial?
And the good news on that is, both Jenna and I got a phone call from the bank immediately. They recognized the problem and brought that to our attention right away.
Very good.
Motion to accept the financial report.
Make a motion, we accept financial report as presented.
We have a first and a second roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 I see you.
Yeah, we get-
John Ellis
Yes.
and Randy Corn.
Yes.
You said yes before the.
Yeah. I wasn't waiting for it.
Yeah.
You got somewhere to be.
All right. Any correspondence? No correspondence. Old business. Ending fund balance.
I will refer you to page 28 of your board packet. It came up in the last, for all of you to sit there. It came up in the last board meeting, questions about budget policy in relation to some budget items. So I went into board policies and pulled out that section, which is what you see on the top of the page. And then at the bottom of the page, I put numbers that correspond to the current budget. So the two items specifically was, we said that the funding in balance, the ending fund balance should be 25% of the general fund operating revenues. And if you go down to total revenue, you'll see that's about 4.2 million. If you multiply that by 25%, you come up with a little over $1 million. Our revenue carry forward is 1.4 million. So we exceeded that standard. And then the other question was operating contingency of 10% of materials and services. So if you go back to the bottom of the page, materials and services was 987,000. 10% of that is 98,000, and our contingency is 149,000. So we exceeded the standing of that.
So the guidelines kind of set minimum standards.
Yes.
We're well above those. Okay, thank you.
And when we did that, we took a look at what others around us were doing, had a copy of Jackson 3's and
This
their
policy,
policy, and
yeah, this
said, yeah, that's probably a good idea.
policy actually came from Jackson 3 and I modified it.
Okay, any other questions? Organizational review.
So I reached out to everybody to get input for a 5-year capital plan. And I didn't get it done in time for the board packet, so I have it for you now.
When did you reach out? When did you reach out?
To who?
Who you reached out to everybody here during the meeting or
Employees.
employees?
Employees that run programs.
Employees.
So this is what we got back, and these are major expenses that we anticipate a need to purchase. The far right column is just numbers that total the amount we anticipate spending in that particular year. I'm pretty comfortable with our ability to fund all of these things all the way down to fiscal year 29-30, when we need to spend 800,000 on an engine. And I am cautiously optimistic that we can even do that, but it would require us to put money away every year. As long as we know that now and work in that direction, I think we're okay when we get to fiscal year 29-30.
Would we create like a set aside fund specifically for that in our budgeting?
It would be part of the capital fund.
Capital thing? Yeah.
What I'd like to see is a running balance out here. So it says if we make this expenditure, we're putting in this much every year. We make this expenditure, here's how much will be left in that account. So we can visually see when that account's gonna bottom out, or will it make it to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we did that with the apparatus replacement schedule, which is basically what this is.
Yeah.
So,
So we've
okay,
done that in the past. We've had just running balances where we know we're gonna put that.
I find it helpful just to be able to glance at it and see, are we on track with what we said?
okay, then I will add that column and run this out per year, and we will, so the income on that fund will be tax money, but also what we determine we need to add to it every year, say from the general fund.
And that will start in next year's budget cycle?
Yes.
Okay.
Fiscal year 26-27.
And Mike, I'm gonna kind of back up a little bit here, to our ending fund balance. You might want to consider, we might want to consider at the end of the fiscal year, we take a look at that ending fund balance, and if it is significantly over what our set asides that we predicted move those funds into, be it the reserve fund, apparatus reserve, or capital reserve fund, or so, make a transfer of those funds before June 31st of each year, and keep those cash carry forward and can't say miscellaneous.
Contingency.
Yeah,
Basically what you're doing is taking,
Unappropriated, any fund balance.
so the unappropriated ending fund balance, but also the,
you're appropriating your overages and an ending fund balance to an apparatus replacement account.
or or just capital
capital
reserve.
replacement.
Yeah.
Does that interfere with our budgeting that's currently on our books that for this?
Yeah, I don't think we can do it until, you don't want to do it until like June, because something may come up and you need to spend those monies, you know.
Right.
If you get towards the end of the year, it looks like, because if you needed those monies to carry you through the first 6 months, if for some reason our reserve wasn't big enough, you can borrow from yourself. You just have to repay it in November or whatever. But I think if we stuck with our 25 and 10%, we'd be fine. And if there's more funds in there than we anticipated, what I don't want it to appear like we're, you know.
One of the things that Jim and I heard when we went to this conference, there was a presentation by the state regarding district budgeting and accountability and everything. And they're taking a very close look at how districts are doing their budgeting, transferring of money and everything, that make sure that we meet the legal requirements. And like Jim is saying, you're allowed to carry a contingency in case of an emergency or anything, but they really got into the discussion about identifying accounts and funds where these monies were going and how they were being utilized. So my suggestion would be is maybe we talk to our auditor and find out what the proper account structure would be. So like Jim is saying, we do a review maybe June 1st of if we have any cash carryovers that could be made as a transfer into that account.
So a concern I have about that transfer from the general fund to the capital fund. The money that's in the capital fund is restricted on things that we said we're going to spend capital fund money on. So if we take general fund money, put it in the capital fund, we can't necessarily bring it back, in my opinion, or I'm asking you. We can't necessarily bring it back to fund other items if we get into financial trouble. So my question is, should we keep that extra money in the general fund instead of transferring it to the capital fund?
Certainly, you can build a reserve into the capital fund. Or a reserve into the general fund, excuse me.
Line in there.
And that's what I was saying. If you get in financial trouble, you can borrow from your
funds.
from your capital. But I understand it's
a one-way street. Once you shove it into that capital fund, then you can't understand the concern.
so what the whole thing is, I just would like to move it out of cash carryover. I got kind of a side story, but in 1993, I took my budget to the budget committee, and I had been doing exactly what you've been doing, you know, carefully building up that cash carryover, so I had plenty of money. And I had a budget committee member say, "You mean that you got enough money on hand to operate this place for a year?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "Well, then I make a motion that we not," because back then you could impose whatever tax rate you needed. I make a motion that we tack to 0 this year because you got enough money on hand. You know, I'm like, "Oh, hold on a minute."
Yeah.
And by golly, they did it. So we were great guys in the community that we didn't tax anybody that year. In 1995, Measure 50 and Measure 5 passed, and they went back and set your permanent tax rate at the average of your last 3 years. Since I had done that 2 years ago, we had been at about a $2 tax rate, and my permanent tax rate came out to $1.20. So banking money into the cash carry forward, I decided was a really bad idea. And it makes me nervous when I see funds in there like that, you know. So I'd like to see them move somewhere into a reserve that said, yeah, that's we know before this 5-year levy's up, prices are going to go up and get more expensive. So we need to be banking some money to make sure we can carry through those times. wherever that location is.
And also having enough money for when it comes time for purchase of significant apparatus.
Right.
We're not having to finance it and, pay interest on top of that.
Or go out and ask people for a bond.
Yeah,
Correct.
it makes you think lean too. It's like, we don't have that much money. Actually, it's spoken for.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions on the 5-year capital plan? Okay. One thing, for maybe next meeting, Mike, you can give us an update on the progress of the Lexipol, policy.
Yeah, I'll give you one right now.
Okay,
So we have 175 policies. I'm going through them individually and creating a list of whether we keep it, whether we call it a OG, or whether we eliminate it. And one of the things I'm doing is there's policies there that we just simply don't need, but I'm also trying to eliminate duplicate documents. So in other words, if the subject is covered in our medical protocols, we shouldn't have a policy. If it's covered in the union contract, we shouldn't have a policy. So I'm doing that. I'm about halfway through that right now. And then when I get done, it'll go to the union.
thank you. All right. New business budget calendar.
That's on page 29 of your board packet. This is our proposed budget calendar. One change that we made over last year was we're going to advertise 2 budget committee meetings. In case we have to have 2, we can have them close together. We learned the hard way from that last year. And also we actually moved the budget committee meetings more toward June. We did that because, so this fiscal year, we tried to hold the meetings sooner just to make sure we got them done with plenty of time. The problem with that, you don't really have accurate budget numbers at that time. So you end up with a budget that doesn't really reflect what you're going to end up with that fiscal year. So we feel like moving it into May, which is where we've stuck it, we have more accurate numbers for the final budget.
Is I notice you have the appointment of the budget officer on January 14th of 26. Is that correct? And then you listed today's meeting, or should that?
Today's meeting is for approval of the budget calendar,
And
and then the next meeting will be to appoint the budget.
okay, very good. Any comments?
Good.
We need a motion and second to approve the budget calendar.
If so, I'd make the motion.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we received a donation which requires a approval of the resolution. The resolution of R2526-007, resolution authorizing transfer of funds within the general fund in the year beginning July 1, 2025. Whereas the Rogue River Rural Fire Protection District has received a $100 donation from a district patron, whereas the patron agrees to spend $100 on employee incentives. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors hereby authorizes receiving the funds and increasing the appropriation as described below. I-33080 donation of $100. I-55280 incentives as a debit of $100.
In the interest of full transparency, this gentleman walked into the fire station, gave us $100 and asked us to buy the employees beer, which we can't do. But what I would like to do is, this is obviously for the employees. They've been up to his house a number of times, helped him on public assist. So what I would like to do is buy 3 credit cards from the pizza place and give one to each shift.
Sounds like a good idea.
So that they would be $33, $33 and $34.
Do we have,
Also, and $2 extra.
do we have to go through a resolution like this every time we get a donation of any amount?
According to our auditor, yes, and that's because the money is not appropriated by the budget committee, so it's to appropriate it, it's for training.
Okay, I'm just
Can I
curious.
make a suggestion? In the future, when somebody comes in wanting to donate this specifically to the employees, that donation be made to the union and not to the department.
Well,
That-
not all the employees are union.
Right, but, okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we go the route that Mike has on the floor here for now,
Right.
and then we can discuss some more further, but yeah,
I'll second that.
didn't realize we had to go through a resolution.
I didn't need to go, so I just put it into miscellaneous income
Yeah,
and earmark it.
Yeah, I used to believe we didn't have to do it unless it reached a certain threshold, but that's not what we're told lately.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote on that.
Yes.
Tom Foster.
Yes.
Stern,
Yeah.
John Ellen.
Yes.
yes,
And we maybe, find out from the auditor if we can create a threshold of which can be
We
created
already,
and they said no way.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's just a way of documenting unappropriated money.
Alrighty, chief's comments.
So calls are up. So we are 150 calls ahead of where we was last year. I'm sure our employees are feeling that extra workload. We appreciate their hard work. The big thing I want to talk about is we did firefighter testing over 2 days. This was a very long process. It's very time consuming, but it's a very important thing that we do. So we ran it through National Testing Network. We advertised in a couple of different places. We ended up with 54 applicants through National Testing Network. Out of those 54, we invited 28 of them to assessment centers here, and we held those assessment centers over 2 days. So we tested 14 per day. Out of that 28, 21 of them passed. So I have a hiring list of 21, or I will tomorrow. 4 of them are paramedics and 7 of them are paramedic students. So I'm very happy with the outcome of the people that we have to choose from. Tomorrow I'm going to the Civil Service Commission to get the whole process of hiring considered. Then we'll start going through the interview process. And I will have 3 openings. So I have a pretty qualified group, young group, but pretty qualified group to choose from.
are those replacing retiring people, or are we budgeted for?
We picked up 2 extra people on the grant years ago. But one of them is going to Grants Pass Fire, one of them is going to Medford Fire in January, and we already lost one that moved to Reno because his wife was in school.
So I can't recall, I know we've had discussion, but these extra hires, they're not new positions that are gonna help like with your staffing or overtime? Are we just kind of replacing it as our current?
It will replace current positions, but 2 of those current positions are extra positions from the capacity.
Great.
And with the passage of the levy, it's our anticipation to keep those positions filled.
Okay, great. Remember the discussion.
Chief, have you budgeted in the budget for the training of these 3 individuals? Because last time there was some overtime that was involved for the training of them.
Well, if the money is there and the training budget is not specifically earmarked for that, but we do. Yeah, we're fine.
I missed whether or not any of these prospective employees have prior experience, or they all recruits.
It's a mix. Some of them are students at other departments, some of them are volunteers at other departments, a number of them are in paramedic school. Some of them are employees at neighboring jurisdictions.
Sounds good.
So with overtime, even with the hiring of these individuals in January, we are going to incur a significant amount of overtime over, say, the next 6 months, until we get them trained up and in place.
And you, then like you said, you have that in the budget that's covered.
Yeah, we have that in the budget.
Okay.
And then there's other considerations, like if I hire a paramedic student that's in school, we're kind of working through the logistics of that right now.
Are any of these applicants potential lateral entry candidates?
Possibly.
Some have that much experience.
But I think, and Craig's going the same place I was going. It sounds like from the time you hire until they're fulfilling full duties on shift is like 6 months.
It will depend on the individual and the qualifications they show up.
Okay. Which comes back to what, are any of them like lateral transfers are ready to hit the ground running?
Yeah, none of them are ready to hit the ground running. But some of them are more qualified than others. So if I hire a paramedic who's a firefighter, that person is online in a month to 2 months. If I hire a paramedic student who's a fresh firefighter 1, you're 6 to 8 months out.
Any comment on why we're not attracting lateral applicants? We're shedding them, but we're not attracting them. Is their pay not commensurate with other agencies in the valley?
I would say that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably the number one thing. I think part of it also would be that some firefighters just don't want to staff an ambulance.
Yeah. So
Probably those two things.
Can you give us an update on the new ambulance?
The new ambulance got decals, and I sent pictures off to Oregon Health Authority, so it will be licensed soon. I'm thinking next week. We are waiting for electronics to install the MDT, and other than that, it's not ready to go.
Thank you.
Along the same lines, I also reached out to Arrow. So we have 3 ambulances that have 3 power loaders, which is a device that picks up the gurney for you and loads it into the ambulance, saves on back injuries. The other part of that is a power gurney you have to have. We only have 2 of those gurneys.
Or what?
Power gurney.
Oh.
We only have 2 of those gurneys. What that means is that if our 3rd out ambulance goes into service all of a sudden for whatever reason, you need to move a gurney from one ambulance to the other. Most of the time that happens, but there was a call in particular where that got overlooked. And that's a problem. So I reached out to Arrow and said, if you come across a used power gurney, please call me. So a new one is $25,000. I did not budget for it, but if I can get one for half that price, I think it would be a worthwhile purchase.
They didn't have one on hand?
No, but he had some that he thinks are right around the corner.
What was the outcome of that call?
The department responded very quickly with the second ambulance, and it just so happens that call was at my house.
Keep it internal.
So the patient was cooperative.
Yeah.
It was quite embarrassing, but we got through it.
Okay, any other comments? Monthly reports.
We picked up a request for, I think the number is about 30 or 33 home assessments that we will be doing in Brookside Village. And I'm gonna handle that the way that we handled Field Lane, meaning that I'm gonna bring a person in for 1 or 2 days and just dedicate them to that. That's a good thing. We're excited about that. The home assessments fell off substantially, so picking up a number like that is exciting.
Are there, so those are, that's a special need community. Is there anything deeper than external for getting them out or having caregivers? Because there's a lot of people that have to move, I'm assuming. Inside Village, they're all senior citizens.
You mean for an evacuation?
Yeah,
I think it's a 50 and over kind of place. They have good access. It's well maintained.
enough people to help
Help
out.
that. It really depends on how cooperative they are. Evacuations never go well. But that's what we would put, the sheriff would handle.
Those are all relatively small, single family units that are on small lots, right?
And
And some of them border on the area that was just mitigated.
that's kind of what sparked this whole thing.
Yeah, good.
I don't see, Captain Esther mottos, or did I miss?
It's page 12, 32.
What did I do? 32, okay, thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there it is.
Any other comments on the monthly reports?
Ready for a motion to accept reports? So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comment.
One, read about a new water tank being potentially installed. Have you guys been involved in that at all? Is that another water source for you or another water source?
Yes, Mike was involved in some of the site approval. But it does feed, it will create some hydrants along here that we will have access to. Yeah, and tie into the current hydrant system.
We don't need it for drafting or anything like that. It's
We won't need the draft because we'd be able to just hook up to the
hydrants or pressure, yeah.
I'm a little curious on how that system works. I was surprised. We've always had elevated tanks and gravity flows in. We pump to the high tanks and gravity flows down. They're building this one down here, adjacent to Classic Drive, so it's gonna be a low elevation. So I'm not sure if they pump from that tank to existing tanks to do it, or if they're going to put in a pump system and our hydrant system will now be pressurized from pumps. I was surprised by the location. It's 1 million gallons that will supplement fire flows, give us a little more capacity in the district. I'm just curious if anybody knows quite how that works.
I would think that the best way is to get that stuff with some elevation on it, because then it sits there 24/7, ready to rock
Ready.
and roll. Yeah,
So, you know,
I thought that.
my
makes
thought
sense.
is, and I don't know anything about how it is, if we have power outage that depletes or large and that depletes that's of limited value because you can't get
Yeah,
it up there.
I agree with that
Or-
question, line of questioning.
Just kind of curious as to how I applaud them for increasing the capacity of the system. I think that's very good. And then I just like kind of know how it works.
Yeah, we're not gonna have to use.
Do you
Talk
think
to
it
anybody,
will,
Mike.
Pumps, I'm guessing.
do you think it would be
Ask.
appropriate maybe to ask the public works director from the city maybe to come to one of our meetings and give us an overview?
Heard of thing, yeah.
I would also add, there's been a lot of discussion of evacuations plans for Rose River and there. I've heard people say, yeah, we have one. You go down to the city, ask for. And everyone knows that the Depot Street isn't going to handle traffic. So is there some way that that this department can be involved in at least looking at that access to that whole situation and tying in this water tank that Vero River's putting into the evacuation plan that would help you guys for sure, and give you more access around that whole
So,
downtown.
so to clarify, are you looking at, clarification from the city is if we'll have access around the site that would allow us to gain water if necessary in the situation?
Or just a situation where you guys can look at, so you're kind of involved in an evacuation plan. So police and firefighters if they're needed, but are you guys looking at that plan as in a broader sense of adding evacuation potential for the town? Because it's a prime spot to
There's been several, I know I was involved in one, I think you were too, they had, it was county and it was a tabletop. And I don't, that's been several years ago.
It's been about 10 years.
Whether you're still active or not on that, but they had a total plan of what they were gonna do, how they were gonna eat gasoline.
I think it was more of a gap analysis. These are things we don't know, the things we should be working on. But it never came to fruition from my understanding. I understand that our primary goal here is to fight fires and transport sick people. And the sheriff's goal is to evacuate people and calm, things of that nature. But you're right, there's tons of bottlenecks. Depot Street, there's Ward Street, there's the bridges leading north of town. There's a variety of places, but I don't believe we've done any tabletop exercise or anything of that nature to really gain clarity before the event happens. So I would strongly support that, but I know it's another resource that we're gonna have to ask the rest of the board to support.
It's a kind of ironic, but there's only like we lost 2 bridges. We're basically an island. You can't get out of here. You can't get in, you can't get out. So it's a problem.
Did anything ever become of that Wards Creek secondary route out that anybody is aware of? I know it was discussed here a year or so ago, kind of in detail.
There's a gate on it, but the homeowner is willing to open the gate and then it drops you into the properties on the end of Third Street. And that person is willing to let people come to his
In the
property.
event of it was needed, somebody could get the lock off.
That's the foundation property. The issue was establishing a permanent easement. And I think the resolution we proposed was him making it available 360 days a year and then shutting it off the week after Christmas and then starting again. And that would create a limited easement or a limited access, but not an easement. But I don't think anybody took the reins of that.
Was that Reverend Grand guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So last I heard, we were going to leave it to the sheriff, but I don't think the sheriff is prepared for it. The county owns that scenic road, I believe. I think the county owns that road, and it's got a giant. Well, I haven't been up there, so I'm just looking for it. It's got a giant washout that unless you have pretty robust 4-wheel drive, you're not getting through.
Yeah, and if it was heavy rains or something, it'd be probably pretty icky,
So
Okay.
but I don't think anybody's done any preparation. So I would support a future board item to discuss this if we have one or.
He's not the kind of person that's going to open that up to the public. He's very concerned about security and has armed security that wanders around. And so he did tell me that if there's an emergency, he'll open that gate and let people come to his property, but he's not going to
create another access type
Yeah.
of guy.
Along that note, maybe what we need to do is, being that there are multiple agencies involved with this, maybe we should invite the county's emergency services coordinator to participate in one of our meetings. So these discussions can be brought forward. I would think that would be the point of contact in the county because, as you mentioned, Craig, the sheriff has responsibilities, a lot of those entities. So maybe we can look into that to see if the emergency services coordinator could come and we can bring these topics up.
Well, that'd be an all-day meeting.
Yeah.
Well,
Are there any city resources we'd like to include?
if we want to make this into a workshop and include the city and everything, but like John's saying, is could be a lengthy thing. Or if we, invited one guest to a meeting, I'm open for suggestions, but I think that would be a starting
Well,
point.
if we get this thing all put together, we ought to possibly include ODOT, because this freeway goes to heck right over here.
Yeah.
Or down here at Twin Bridges or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
About park. We're locked in, there's no way to get in, there's no way to get out.
Well, that's why I was thinking we should invite the county's emergency services coordinator, because that individual has a responsibility to coordinate multiple agencies. And that person might be the starting point for if we want to have a workshop or a bigger meeting.
And I think that's a good idea, because that person be aware if there's other groups taking a look at it, other folks, we want to be coordinated, we don't want to be running off on our own
Somebody's
here.
already done it.
So look at that as future items.
Workshop.
I think that as a near-term thing, the water tank area is the thing that's very starting to.
On this similar subject, Mike, do you have any updates on the Gold Hill Bridge work that's upcoming, I think? Going to be closed or?
I don't have an update on that, but I will get one for you.
I've seen it talked about, I just don't.
Yeah, I've read about it. I don't know a date that it's
Yeah,
gonna happen, but I don't think that will have much effect on us. It will on the other side of,
Fire District 3 is gonna ask to reach an agreement with us to respond.
clear to the bridge, I would assume.
We respond to most of the calls over there
Yeah.
now.
And I would, I don't know where the halfway point or where the break point would be for us responding out 234. Or them responding in from their Dodge Bridge station or something.
Well, Dodge Bridge isn't manned, so it would really be coming out. Dodge Bridge isn't manned, so it would really be coming out of White City.
it's just a matter of getting back on the freeway from that part of Gold Hill-ish and then always back to Rock Point.
So the Assistant Director of Jackson County Emergency Management is Sean Richards, and he used to be last year Sergeant Sean Richards, and was in charge of Jackson County Sheriff's Special Operations. And I know him pretty well, so I'll reach out to him.
Thank you.
See what we can do.
Any other public comment?
One other item, what are we supposed to do with this? Just sign it, and give it back to you? Or
Thank you.
Any items that came up after the posting of the agenda? Okay, future agenda items, the appointment of the budget officer is going to be there, and Mike, you got a couple other items there. And we're looking for a motion for adjournment.
Did you articulate that we're going to look at the evacuation planning?
Yes, he's going
That's
to
the
invite the
one.
sergeant, the past sergeant to discuss that. Okay, not hearing anything further. Motion to adjourn.
so move.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.